Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. I am super excited. Today has been a really good day in the market. Yeah, so let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth, and the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So we are looking at Tesla on the 5-minute chart, and Tesla broke out of the gathering spot this morning. We had marked those levels, and those are the two. This is the bottom, so that would have been the support area. Tesla broke out of that, and as soon as it broke out of that, you see the MACD gave us a signal that we could have entered this trade to the downside, and I did. So this was a really good trade for me. Looking at it during this gathering spot here, as you can see, I marked that area, but I didn't want to trade that area, so I was out of my trade at this level at the 170. Once I saw that it kept, it started going back up, that means the buyers were there to take that price back to the upside. And then that next candle, I was like, okay, I always wait on the next candle just to see how it's going to move, because it could very well continue to the downside. So it's important to wait on the next candle. So I scalped it from, waiting, coming out of this area here to the downside here, which was a good scalp for me. Let me say that. And I'm going to go to Tesla on a 30-minute time frame just so that we can see it a little bit clearer, right? So this is the area of gathering spot that we broke out of. This is that trade that if we got in this morning, it would have been a nice trade to the downside. Well, it seemed as if it wanted to just create us another gathering spot here. But the way that Tesla sold off this morning, and knowing that it's going to report deliveries tomorrow, I was like, Tesla's probably going to run back to the upside. But I did not. I mean, I could have entered here, but I didn't want to go with the up and down type thing, right? And towards the end of the day, it did run back up to the upside. So if I would have entered the trade, I would have been right to enter the trade. It's just finding the right entry. But let me tell you why I didn't enter the trade. And that's because I set daily goals for myself, meaning I have a daily goal. And once I meet that goal, I do not go back in and trade anymore. And a lot of people would say, well, you still have a little bit more time, you can make some more money. That is true. I could have. However, I could have taken a risk of giving some of that back, and then I would have been mad at myself, and then it would have kind of altered my day. So I always say that I'm grateful and not greedy. So whatever, I'm blessed with, I'm going to accept it and be grateful for that. So once I set my goal and meet the goal, I don't trade anymore. So this is why I did not enter this trade in. I would have entered it back to the upside based on right here. This double bottom looks like a double bottom right here. And we could have bounced and rode the wave. It was above the 5 EMA, so we could have rode the wave back to the upside. It was just a little bit much, up and down for me. So again, I had already met my goal. Tesla was a really good trade today. I can go ahead and take these off because I won't need them. And this SPY is another trade that I took today, and I'm grateful that I did take that one again too. As soon as it came out of the gathering spot this morning, I entered the trade. Wrote this one to the downside, so I was in puts to the downside. And I don't. This morning during pre-market, we marked the 521.36, and the SPY hit that this morning, and it actually came down under that. I thought it was going to meet the ATR or hit the 4 hour, the 50 EMA on the 4 hour, but we did not, which was at the 420.97. So that was something to think about. So if you traded the SPY today, to the downside, to me, right at the open was a really good trade. You could have did some little scalping moves here, but again, it was that up and down type thing. So I always say trade what you see, and you definitely want to make strategic. You want your trades to be profitable. You want to do strategic moves. I say that often, right? SMCI is another one. It was an inside day. I didn't trade this one today, but it was an inside day. And as you can see, we had a little gathering spot here, and the trigger to the upside was at 10:33. Well, it broke through that at 9:35 this morning, and it actually reached a target of 10:47.81. It actually exceeded that target, gave us a double top here, right here. I look at the bodies right here, and then it came back to the downside. So if you didn't catch this move to the upside, you could have caught this double top. You could have caught this double top right here and the MACD cross. So that was another confirmation. We made lower lows That's another confirmation. So yeah, I always again look for other things that help confirm why I am in the trade that I'm in, right? So SMCI, and that's why it's important that we do the inside day candles, because it kind of gives us a target, a price target, or support and or resistance. If it breaks through this, it could possibly do this. And it's nothing is guaranteed in the market. I can't say that enough. Nothing is guaranteed. I always say trade what you see. Nvidia is another one that was a really good move today if you were able to get in it at the open. And if you didn't get in at this gathering spot here, right when the market opened, you could have very well bought off a rejection right here. After it came out of this area here, it gave us a signal, right? Look at the MACD. It gave us a signal right here. Once it started fanning out here, that's a signal to the downside. That's an entry for me. Let me say that. And the 5 and 50 is crossing to the downside. We are making lower lows under the 5 EMA. So I would have entered this trade somewhere around here, and I would have scalped it to the downside until I seen that green hammer here. Because definitely, right here is kind of like creating, the MACD is flattening. I don't like to be, I really want to be getting ready to get out at that area. But when I seen that green hammer, that is definitely a place for me to be out of that move, because that green hammer is a signal for me that it's about to reverse and go back to the upside. That candle right here. And that was at the 892.04. So yeah, so SMCI, if you're able to trade that, again, it can be very profitable if you're in at the right time and out at the right time, and then if you can withstand the moves that it make. Let me say that, because it moves really, really different. So Microsoft was another one today. It's interesting that it gapped up. It had already gapped up pre-market. We gapped up, and the inside trigger was met during pre-market. So we were already at the place of, okay, it met the target, the daily target at 424.45 right when the bell opened. That was interesting. Only to come up here and it broke through the inside day trigger actually, and it reached 427.89. Well, once it hit that 427.89, the sellers were right there to take that price all the way back down, and they basically just traded sideways most of the day. So that's something to think about. It still is a weekly target, and the weekly target is still at the 430.82. We will probably come back up and test this area again up the, break through the 427.41 in order to reach that upside target of 430.82. But again, keep in mind there is a gap to the downside that was created today that will need to be filled for Microsoft. That's something to think about, right? So yeah, y'all, I'm so excited today. Today has been a really, really, really good day, and I'm grateful at that. So we marked the VIX this morning, and it's interesting that the VIX broke out of the gathering spot, right? That was pre-market, only to create another gathering spot here at 8:30. It seems like we came back to this area. Look, this was the gathering spot at 4. We came back to this area, bounced off the support from here, only to come back up to this upside, which brought the SPY down to the downside. It went beyond the ATR trailing stop and got rejected at 415, right? So once it came down, it seems as if it came down, and it looks like it's trying to come back to the gathering spot, or without, the demand zone. And most prices come back to the demand zone. And we'll do a video on the supply and demand. But if you notice that I do a video sometimes and I show you, I say, well, price came back to our gathering spot, and that's the demand zone. Most of the time price comes back to the demand zone. So y'all, again, I hope these videos are very, very helpful. I do an afternoon recap, to go over some of the trades that I took, and then look at some of the levels that we marked, and to see that, price came to that level, or, we knew that that would be a trouble place for us. And I always ask myself, where am I going to have trouble? And with Tesla, it's interesting that it came all the way down to the levels that we had marked. It's like, okay, well, I wonder tomorrow, is Tesla going to continue down that 169.76? Are we going to come down, or are we going to continue, bounce from here to the upside? We don't know. It could get bad news and still go up, or it could get bad news and come down. We can never say, well, Tesla's going to do this, and it could show us very clear, real quick, that no, it's not going to do that. I always say trade what you see, right? And one of the things I said earlier, set daily goals for yourself, and once you reach those goals, it's okay to stop, right? because again, you take a greater chance of giving that back, and then you're in the negative instead of in the positive. And again, we're in this to make money, and we're gonna do it one trade at a time, right? It's like I always say, putting a puzzle together. We're just learning how to put the puzzle together. So again, I hope that you have learned something today in this recap. Thank you so much for watching. If you could please like, share, comment, all of the above, right? And thank you again for taking your time to listen. I am Dee Dee here at the filling station, y'all, and I always like to leave you with this, right? Be blessed as well as a blessing unto others. Until next time.